Picture this. You're sitting in a corporate boardroom, surrounded by executives in expensive suits, watching them lie straight to your face about putting people's lives at risk. You have two choices: stay silent and keep your paycheck, or speak up and lose everything you've worked for. What would you do? Today, we're diving into the incredible stories of 10 brave souls who chose truth over comfort, justice over security. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll discover which of these heroes received the most shocking reward for their courage. And it's not what you'd expect. But first, let me ask you something that might make your heart race. Have you ever felt that knot in your stomach when you witness something wrong at work? That internal battle between doing what's right and protecting yourself? Well, imagine that feeling magnified by 1,000, because the corruption you've uncovered could affect millions of lives. These aren't just stories about corporate fraud, they're stories about ordinary people who found extraordinary courage when it mattered most. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's meet these incredible women and men who refuse to stay silent. Story 10. Karen Silkwood, the nuclear truth teller. Our first hero is Karen Silkwood, a chemical technician who discovered something terrifying at the Kerr-McGee plutonium plant in Oklahoma. In 1974, Karen noticed that safety protocols were being ignored, workers were being exposed to dangerous radiation levels, and the company was covering it up. Can you imagine the fear she must have felt? Here's a woman just trying to make a living who suddenly realizes her workplace is literally poisoning people. But Karen didn't just worry in silence, she started documenting everything. She collected evidence, took photographs, and began building a case that would expose the truth. The company tried to silence her, claiming she was contaminating herself to create false evidence, but Karen persevered, working with journalists to expose the dangerous conditions. Her bravery led to major reforms in nuclear safety regulations that protect workers to this day. Story 9. Sharon Watkins, the Enron prophet. Meet Sharon Watkins, the Enron executive who saw disaster coming from a mile away. In 2001, Sharon was reviewing the company's finances when she discovered something that made her blood run cold. Enron was essentially a house of cards built on fraudulent accounting practices. Picture the courage it took for this woman to walk into CEO Kenneth Lay's office and hand him a memo that basically said, "Our company is committing massive fraud and it's going to collapse." She knew she was risking her career, her reputation, everything she'd worked for. Sharon's warning proved prophetic when Enron collapsed just months later, wiping out thousands of jobs and billions in retirement savings. Her testimony before Congress was riveting. Here was someone who had tried to prevent the disaster from the inside. She became the face of corporate conscience in America. Story 8. Cynthia Cooper, the WorldCom detective. Then there's Cynthia Cooper, WorldCom's internal auditor who literally followed the money trail like a detective in a thriller novel. In 2002, Cynthia was conducting routine audits when she noticed some very strange accounting entries. Late nights, secret meetings, pressure from executives to stop asking questions. It sounds like something out of a corporate espionage movie, doesn't it? But this was Cynthia's reality as she uncovered one of the largest accounting frauds in history. The emotional weight she carried must have been crushing. She knew that exposing this fraud would destroy the company and cost thousands of people their jobs. But she also knew that staying silent would be even worse. Her investigation revealed $3.8 billion in fraudulent accounting, and her courage helped prevent an even bigger catastrophe. Story 7. Colleen Rowley, the FBI reformer. Colleen Rowley's story hits differently because it's about national security. This FBI agent wrote a memo that shook the entire intelligence community to its core. After 9/11, Colleen courageously exposed how FBI headquarters had blocked field agents from investigating suspicious activities that might have prevented the attacks. Imagine the internal conflict, criticizing the organization you've dedicated your life to serve, knowing you'll be labeled a traitor by some colleagues. But Colleen felt a deeper loyalty to the American people and to the truth. Her 13-page memo to FBI Director Robert Mueller detailed systematic failures and cover-ups. she testified before Congress, appeared on magazine covers, and became a symbol of the need for accountability even within our most trusted institutions. Story 6. Frank Serpico, the Honest Cop. Frank Serpico's story reads like a Hollywood thriller because it literally became one. This New York police officer discovered that corruption wasn't just happening in his department, it was the department culture. Frank witnessed officers taking bribes, protecting criminals, and participating in schemes that betrayed everything policing should stand for. But here's what makes his story so powerful. He refused to participate, even when it meant becoming an outcast among his own colleagues. The loneliness must have been unbearable. Imagine going to work every day knowing your partners see you as a threat. But Frank persisted, working with investigators to expose the corruption. His testimony led to major reforms in police departments across the country. Story 5. Jeffrey Wigand, the Tobacco Truth Bomber. Jeffrey Wigand's story is about choosing people over profit in the most literal sense. As a research scientist for Brown & Williamson Tobacco Company, Jeffrey knew secrets that the tobacco industry desperately wanted to keep buried. He discovered that tobacco companies were intentionally making cigarettes more addictive and hiding research about the health dangers. Can you imagine the moral weight of that knowledge? Every day he stayed silent, more people were getting addicted, getting sick. When Jeffrey finally spoke out on 60 Minutes, he risked everything: his career, his family's security, even legal action from his former employer. But his courage helped expose the tobacco industry's lies and led to landmark lawsuits that changed how tobacco products are marketed forever. Story 4. Cheryl Eckerd, the Quality Crusader. Cheryl Eckerd's story proves that sometimes the biggest battles happen over things we take for granted, like whether our medications are safe. As a quality assurance manager at GlaxoSmithKline, Cheryl discovered that the company was manufacturing contaminated drugs at a plant in Puerto Rico. The facility was mixing different medications together, producing drugs with the wrong dosages, and shipping contaminated products to patients. Imagine discovering that medications meant to help people were potentially harming them instead. Cheryl repeatedly tried to fix the problems internally, but when the company ignored her warnings, she made the difficult decision to contact the FDA. Her courage led to the largest pharmaceutical settlement in US history at that time, $750 million, and reforms that protect patients today. Story 3. Bradley Birkenfeld, the Swiss bank infiltrator. Bradley Birkenfeld's story takes us into the secretive world of Swiss banking. As a banker at UBS, Bradley discovered that the bank was helping wealthy Americans evade taxes through secret offshore accounts. This wasn't just paperwork fraud, this was a systematic scheme that was costing the US government billions in lost tax revenue. Money that should have been funding schools, hospitals, and public services was instead hidden away in secret accounts. Bradley's decision to become a whistleblower was incredibly risky because he was admitting his own participation in the scheme. But his inside knowledge was crucial in exposing how Swiss banks were facilitating tax evasion on a massive scale. Story 2. David Weber, the audit hero. David Weber worked as an auditor for the city of Dixon, Illinois, when he discovered something that shocked him to his core. The city's trusted comptroller, Rita Crundwell, was embezzling millions of dollars from the small town's budget. For a small community, this betrayal was devastating. The stolen money should have been used for essential city services, infrastructure improvements, and community programs. Instead, it was funding one person's lavish lifestyle. David's meticulous investigation revealed that Crundwell had stolen nearly $54 million over 2 decades, one of the largest municipal fraud cases in US history. His work helped the community recover and implement stronger financial controls. Story 10. Eileen Foster, the foreclosure fighter. Our final hero is Eileen Foster, whose story brings us full circle to the theme of choosing people over profit. As an executive at Countrywide Financial, Eileen discovered that the company was engaging in fraudulent practices that were contributing to the housing crisis. She saw firsthand how the company was approving mortgages they knew people couldn't afford, then selling those bad loans to investors while hiding the risks. The human cost was devastating. Families losing their homes, communities destroyed, dreams shattered. Eileen's courage in exposing these practices helped reveal how mortgage companies contributed to the 2008 financial crisis. Her testimony provided crucial evidence in lawsuits that held these companies accountable. So, remember that question I asked at the beginning? About which whistleblower received the most shocking reward? Well, it was Bradley Birkenfeld, the Swiss bank whistleblower. After serving time in prison for his role in the tax evasion scheme, he received a $104 million reward from the IRS, the largest whistleblower reward in history. But here's the real reward that all these heroes share. They can look at themselves in the mirror every day, knowing they chose courage over comfort, truth over security. They remind us that ordinary people can do extraordinary things when they refuse to stay silent in the face of injustice. What about you? Have you ever witnessed something at work that made your conscience scream? These stories show us that speaking up isn't easy, but it's often necessary. And sometimes, just sometimes, doing the right thing creates changes that protect countless others. If these stories inspired you, hit that like button and subscribe for more incredible tales of courage. And tell me in the comments, which of these whistleblowers' stories resonated with you the most?